with regard to your game, like you said, a lot of your historical fiction based in Newfoundland, and I don't know if you implied it. I don't know if I misinterpreted it again because I had you pigeonholed into historical fiction Newfoundland. That the room upstairs was, in my mind, supposed to be Newfoundland. But as I'm reading it, I mean, I've been to a few places, and i.e., New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, Maine. Uh, that book was really saying I could be anywhere in Canada or the United States. I'm not just, no disrespect to Newfoundland, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing Newfoundland, but as I'm reading it, I'm going, Safe Harbor, right? Is the community that was Safe Harbor? Or
Oh,
am I
Hope
getting
Harbor, Hope
Harbor?
Harbor.
Okay, but that could be up in Nova Scotia. That could be on the coast of PEI. I could be sitting down in Maine. I could be in New Brunswick. I could be sitting in any province or maybe any state and where there's water. And I'm like, how did she do that?
Well, I never specifically said Newfoundland, I don't think. But because I'm a Newfoundland-based writer, most of my work, well, all the rest of my work is Newfoundland. It just kind of made sense that people think that it's Newfoundland.
Okay. Well, I mean,
But as you know, it's not like Hope Harbor doesn't exist. It is a work, it is fictional, but it's also
mhm,
doesn't exist, right?
exactly.
So
So it could,
like it was kind of one of those things where people made assumptions, but that's fine.
and that's what we do as a reader. I know me as a reader, because I want to know where this is to, and I'm thinking, well, I could be sitting with that book on a beautiful summer day, or a beautiful fall day, or a beautiful, and that could be in Nova Scotia. That could, wow, like you're not pigeonholing yourself into one province. You're really spreading your wings and saying, I could be here, I could be there. So thank you for that.
But
With
having
regard,
said that, I still like to write stories about Newfoundland, right? Like
exactly.
Newfoundland is my place that I write about.
Well, that's very evident in your bio when you say I think the words are passionately. You're a Newfoundlander first and foremost, and what have you. And I commend you for that. But having that ability to take me as a reader and say, "Wow, like I could be, okay, I could be sitting on this. This could be based out of Nova Scotia. This could be based out of Ontario,
Florida,
even
anywhere
or
with a coastline, because it's
or
a
even the
harbor.
waterline. Because I've been in
Yeah,
places in
waterline,
Ontario.
because it's a harbor. Yeah, even
Yeah,
a
this
big lake.
Well, I was just going to say, I've been in Ontario in a place called Collingwood, and they got a beautiful place up there, Georgian Bay. And I'm sitting there reading this, going, because I've been I'm sitting down in Georgian Bay reading books, and I've been sitting there going, and I'm thinking the room upstairs exactly where I could be in Georgian Bay, Ontario, sitting there by the water, listening to the water. Oh my God, she took me to different
I
places.
was really freaked out by Georgian Bay. I did write there, actually, a secret close to home. Part of it was written there, and I go out on the shoreline, and I was freaked out because there was no tide. Like the tide didn't come in and out; it was just always there, and it was really freaky at the time because I'm so used to the tide, like low tide, high tide, higher tide, lower tide than normal, but there was like no tide. Oh, but it was
Thank
an
you for the
experience.
segue.
Yeah.
Thank you for the segue because into freaky and thinking, oh, I mean, several of the things in particular, I think is Ben is the character. He mentions to Aaron that he's got this gift of being able to sense things, feel things, understand things. What do you think of that old like people of having that innate ability or sixth sense, I think some people call it, to be able to sense things and to see things and feel things?
I think it's a gift and I don't disbelieve it. It probably influenced some of the room upstairs. Um, People might not believe it, but that's their choice. It's like Santa Claus. Sometimes you believe and sometimes you don't.
It really pushed my boundaries because it really made me, that's going to segue into my last question. But I got a few other things I want to ask you about. But my last question regarding the book, uh, I believe there's a message in the book regarding mental health because um, Jane. Now, help me with the names again because I'm getting them mixed up again. Jane is the lady who's in the institution.
Yes.
And she's an institution. I'm sorry, but I'm going to put that word out there again, institution. And we all get that. I know I get my uncomfortable feeling come back again when I hear that word institution. But during the entire time I'm reading it, I'm not getting uncomfortable. If anything, I'm getting a big chunk of empathy, a big chunk of why. And then as you're learning more and more about why she's there, it's like, oh my. So I think there's a very powerful message in the book regarding mental health. What do you think?
If it's a positive message, I'm glad people are taking it away, but it was never meant to be a message. There was no message intended, but as people read, they do take things away that is wonderful from any of my books. If somebody takes something away that's positive, if somebody takes something away that's negative about mental health, it was never meant to be about that. So I'm glad, I'm happy that you did take something positive away. But it wasn't intentional on my part. I'm happy about it, but it wasn't intentional.
Excellent. I think I've got all my questions with regard to the room upstairs. If you don't mind, I got a few other questions before we start to wrap it up, if that's okay.
Sure.
So, what is Ida Linehan Young up to these days, outside of writing like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven books? What are you up to these days?
I have a children's book coming out in the spring. It has been on the go for a few years, but I had trouble getting it uh, illustrated, and I can't draw stick men, so like it's not wasn't doable for me. But I do have a wonderful illustrator for it, Emma Dooley, and she has created that for me. And the book is coming out in March, and it's about bullying. So this one is intended to have a message about bullies and things like that, and about how people react when they are the person being bullied. So
Wow.
that is the mess. There's a message in that one, and I'm also working on a criminal, um, like murder, 1970s St. John's thing, and present day. Another thing that's
Wow.
in the way of my next works.
So we got historical fiction, we got memoirs, we got speculative fiction, we got children's books, we got murder mystery. Is there anything that you wouldn't want to touch or anything you wouldn't want to go there? Or what's the one down the
Whatever's
corner,
in the
the
way.
Terra Nova?
That is so I have a story in that. It's a horror. That's a horror anthology. And Engine Books heard me talk about one of the stories in this and asked me if I would do it. And they helped me develop it into like a true horror story.
And so you got horror. Okay, so is there a genre that you have not, or would you say no? That's the line. I'm not passing. Have you ever come to the line yet?
Not yet, no. But some
Excellent.
people might say then that that doesn't make me a good writer, like because I'm not sticking with one thing and making that better and better and better. But I think that stepping outside your boundaries makes what's inside your boundaries better.
Excellent. Thank you. On another note, I've heard that there's some workshops coming up and retreats coming up. Can you give us some information about that?
So in the winter, so January, February, I'm doing some memoir writing workshops online via Zoom. I did do one in December for Writers NL, and it was 60 odd people attended. And Writers NL says that is one of the biggest questions that they get is from people who want to write nonfiction or memoir. So I put up some classes for that. I don't know if I'm going to get any take up on it. I'm not really um, like pushing it yet until January. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. I also have some four writing retreats at my place in St. Bride's. This is a week-long retreat where people would come and they would write, and I would do feedback with them every day, things like that. It doesn't have to be memoir. It can be memoir. It can be fiction. It doesn't matter. And just give them like a place to write, some feedback, tabletop exercises, etc. Maybe invite some local writers who might be in the area that would want to take part, and just do a little bit of try to expand the local scene for writing while introducing people to, the area.
Beautiful area. Been there myself. First time was there this past summer. And I gotta say, I would encourage everybody to get down and listen to that foghorn because that is probably one of the most powerful. Now we were there. You couldn't have painted the day any better because we were
It was
there
the only
rain.
day that there was fog.
Yeah, but it was powerful because it was, I'll never forget the emotions because with fog, drizzle, rain, and that foghorn blowing, it was just amazing. So beautiful spot because you posted some pictures later with regard to the shoreline and this beach or something or
Yeah,
what's
Point
that?
Lance. So we'll go right in Point Lance, which is like being in Hawaii, but you're still in Newfoundland. Big waves, sandy beaches, just beautiful. Branch Beach is gorgeous. Heavy seas, cliffs, and things like that, but easily accessible. And all along the Cape Shore is just a beautiful place to write, go to the library, Cape St. Mary's, things like that. So lots of places to be inspired.
Thank you. I was just going to say thank you, be inspired because I was inspired and I'm not a writer myself, but I was inspired by the area, the place. I want to go back. I got to go back. I think we're going to wrap it up, but there's one final thing I want to say to you, and I want to ask you to expand on a bit. I seen a post on your Facebook page there just after Christmas, and I call it the post of gratitude. And you used a comparison to a spoonful of sugar and what have you. Can you expand on that for us, please? Because I think it speaks volumes for you as an author and your connection and your gratitude to your readers.
I think as an author, I have a duty to fulfill with anybody that buys a book or picks it up at the library or anything else. I believe that I have a duty to give them their money's worth, sort of thing. I don't take that for granted. I really appreciate all my supporters, all my readers. I love engaging in posts. I love getting pictures from all over the globe of people sent me pictures of where they are with their Ida Linehan Young book. And this past Christmas we did some videos with my daughters, and that was fun. And just to show that I'm not up here on a pedestal. I'm just a regular person, and I enjoy writing, and I'm grateful to people. Like my friend Rosemary used to say, it's not bad for a snot-nosed kid from North Harbor. So coming from a little place and being able to do this, it's just mind blowing in many ways. So how can you not be grateful?
Thank you. Uh, that's it for me. I want to thank you for allowing me this chance to sit and chat with you about a book that really did push me outside of my comfort zone. Because, like I said, I didn't realize I had you pigeonholed into historical fiction. But now I realize, even though I knew you had written the two memoirs with regard to your mom and regard to your life and your life story about the tragedy of 1980, the room upstairs really pushed me to say, wow, you need to look outside the box. So thank you for this opportunity, and I wish you all the best. And I look forward to reading your next one.
Thank you. Thanks, Ed Oldford. This was a pleasure. We should do it again.
We'll certainly do.
All right. So I'm Ida Linehan Young signing off. I'm stopping the recording now.